Trust me, I know.
You know.
Yeah, I know.
You know how you'll react to everything.
Pretty much, yes.
Kissing Jessica Stein is an indie rom-com from the year 2000 that follows the neurotic Jessica, a copy editor at a New York newspaper and a lover of writing, who has been struggling with her love life.
I'm sorry I'm so late.
Hey, you're right on time.
What? I'm an hour late.
No. You are right on time.
At the age of 28, her mother is starting to ask when she might expect her daughter to bring home a suitor, especially since her brother has just announced that he has gotten engaged.
I'm getting married!
Wow.
Despairing at the quality of men she's been dating recently, when a friend reads a quote from one of her favourite authors, Rainer Rilke, in the personal columns, she is intrigued. And though it's something she's never thought about before, the fact that this personal ad is about a woman seeking a woman gives her pause. But ultimately, she is spurred into action.
So I don't think the problem's with these poor men, these freaks and morons, as you put it. I think the problem is with you.
She responds to the ad and finds herself meeting Helen, a curator at an art gallery who herself has been finding her liaisons with men somewhat lacking and is curious to try something new out. While she is all in at exploring her sexuality, Jessica is a lot more jittery.
You know what, the truth is I've been trying to be a little less me lately, and that's why but really I'm still me. See? I see.
But is ultimately won over by Helen's intelligence and humour and finds that she really enjoys her company, and it seems like she may have found something that she'd been looking for in a partner. The difficult thing to reconcile is that this person is a woman, and is that what she really wants? It has to be said up front, although this is something of a spoiler, so skip 15 seconds. This film doesn't end the way I as a sapphic wanted. At the time that I watched this film, back in 2000, back when Blockbuster was still reigning supreme, it was the only lesbian film available, and I was bitterly disappointed with how the movie ended. As a consequence, it tainted the whole film, and I haven't rewatched it since. But given I mentioned it in a previous video not so long ago, I thought it was high time I took another gander, and I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. The ending aside, this is a really good rom-com film that is elevated above the run-of-the-mill kind of rom-coms that were plentiful at the time. It fits into the formula of the genre very well, but also manages to make it fresh, not only with just the exploration of Jessica's sexuality, which certainly made it stand out, but equally with how they gave Jessica a character arc that is more thoughtful and emotionally resonant than most. In rom-coms, it's typical to have a neurotic protagonist who seems to be bumbling through her life and not quite finding purchase on her purpose nor her love life. Insofar, this film is no exception, but rather than playing that trait off as cute, as is usually the case and not really being addressed beyond that, here it is used as the central character trait that is holding Jessica back from actualizing her potential. And so the film is less about her finding love, although that is also what is happening, but more about her taking a good look at herself and her behaviors so that she can grow as a person, and I really liked that. Here the film takes the time to explore the fact that Jessica is incredibly picky and judgmental about potential suitors, and while it's not entirely unfounded given the selection we are shown in the film, it is clear that she is quick to judge and dismiss. When Josh, her boss and one-time boyfriend, holds up a mirror to this trait, essentially asking her to take ownership of her own situation, rather than perpetually nitpicking and blaming the mega dating pool, she is provoked to, as the quote by Rilke encourages, not to dismiss any possibility, including a woman, as a possible partner.
But only someone who is ready for everything, who excludes nothing, will live the relation to another as something alive.
Which is why she then goes on the date with Helen. From being someone who appears to be hemmed in by mental parameters she's placed on herself, her relationship with Helen opens her up in a brand new way. Haltingly, and for poor Helen, frustratingly,
She's nervous and erotic and straight and not that into it, and I don't have time. Shoulder Gallery. Hi. Hi. How are you?
because Jessica's need for control certainly exerts itself as they inch towards consummating their relationship. For Helen, this is the perfect catnip. She finds Jessica charming and certainly sexually frustrating with how slow their build-up is, which gives her the stimulation she was missing in her other hookups. Through the film, we see her falling for this girl who may or may not be queer, and as a result of her feelings, Helen is also challenged to let someone in, finally, because she's always kept her lovers at arm's length.
Who do you call when you're sick? I don't get sick.
Oh, Good system.
Okay, spoilers ahead. It creates a rather lovely dynamic between the two women, with the tension existing in the question mark that remains over Jessica's sexuality. Is she actually a sapphic who has been so thoroughly heteronormatized? I know that's not a word, but you know what I mean. That peeling the layers away result in this revelation of her sexuality, or is she simply not into it, but has committed to trying this new thing? The film walks this rather thin line the whole way through, and many moments in the film could be interpreted either way, depending on your bias. My bias is very gay, and so when watching the film the first time, I was interpreting all the signs to mean that Jessica was just having a hard time letting go of her old identity as a straight woman. The fact that she seemed happy in the relationship lent itself to that.
I think the thing is, we just really click, you know?
Sounds like you definitely need to put a stop to this.
Even if there were clearly some difficulties presenting themselves, like the fact that Jessica seemed to struggle with the fact that
But she's a girl, you know? She's thin. She has thin arms, and she's soft and attentive, and it's all wrong.
in all honesty, up to the last 10 minutes of the film, a gay ending seemed absolutely possible and on the table. Jessica seemed to be relaxing into the relationship, and there was even a beautiful scene between her and her mother, who guessed and then fully accepted that Jessica was in a relationship with Helen.
I think she's a very nice girl.
Her whole family seemed very chill about Helen coming to the wedding as her plus one. They even moved in together, and the only thing missing at this point was there to be a moment where we saw that Jessica had finally fully accepted herself and her feelings for another woman. The film seemed to be going in a clear direction, but then we got to the scene where Helen wanted to know why Jessica doesn't want sex, and it all falls apart quickly, and then Josh is pulled from the sidelines in a bait and switch to be the end game prospect. My issue with this is twofold. Josh was, quite honestly, a douche. From his first interaction with Jessica, I found him unpleasant, and while I appreciated the fact he called Jessica out on her behaviour, there was a certain air about him that felt condescending, and I didn't like him for Jessica. And then there was the bait and switch. We spent the entire movie building up this narrative, this relationship between Jessica and Helen, only to pull the rug out from under us in the final moments of the film, teasing us with a gay ending and giving us a straight one. So you can see why I was upset when I first watched it. Today, because I am forewarned, I could come at the film with that knowledge, and so I found myself enjoying the film and appreciating how well it was made. Because the two leads were in fact the writers and co-producers, two friends who went to the same acting school. They managed to independently fund the film. The script was solid, the acting was good, and the film managed to offer up that nostalgic rom-com New York vibe and provide an overall pretty polished film that at the time it came out was pretty unique for sapphic films. So now that I think that I've had time to deal with my disappointment, it only took 24 years, I can recommend this film as an enjoyable watch. And if you don't want to deal with the ending, you can just switch it off 10 minutes before the end and it will still make sense. Check out my other sapphic film reviews on your screen, and until next time, lady lovers.